Welcome back to another episode of D54. Back with Kathy from
Hi.
Cinemondo. Before we start, make sure check out Cinemondo. A lot of great content there. If you're new
Including
here,
Amit.
Yep. Including me. You'll see me in some trailer reactions,
Right.
teaser reactions, song reactions, and movie reviews.
Mhm.
Pretty similar to what we do here. So yeah, we are talking about Anchakkallakokkan today.
Yes, we are.
Now we reacted this. We did actually react to this trailer a while ago.
I thought the trailer was good.
Yeah, we were all pretty excited about the trailer. Me, yourself, and Melanie. You should also check out Melanie at Priority
Yeah.
Reviews.
Yes.
But we really excited by the trailer. It looked really good. I mean, a lot of action in that trailer, done really, I guess, artistically, in a very different kind of, it felt like it was a bit different from, your standard, typical mainstream blockbuster. Obviously, no big names in this. Like, I don't want to say anything bad about Lukman or Chemban, but there's no real big star presence in this movie. But again, that can be used to his advantage to surprise us. Like,
No, I don't think you need a big star to make a good movie. No, beginner,
this has been proving that, right?
Character actors.
We've been seeing a lot of movies this year from from Manyumal Boys. The biggest star was Sobin Shahir in that.
That's right.
And then we saw Premalu recently, which had a whole lot of young actors.
Yeah.
Really shine. So you don't really need to have that real big star presence. But
they can't all star Fahad Fossil. You can't. You just can't all have him in everything, you guys. And DQ and all those guys.
Although I would not have minded Fahad Fossil in this movie.
I wouldn't complain if any of those people were in it, but they aren't in it, and it's still good.
No, that's true. But I guess this movie, is a Western crime thriller. I guess that's what they targeted it as. And I would say it's very different Western crime drama. It takes a different approach, I guess, in terms of how it sort of lays out the crime and the revenge that they're going after at the end initially.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I'll just be honest, this movie didn't really work too much for me. And we'll get into that. But let's talk about some of the positives first. Let's talk about what we actually like about this movie.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that first because most things aren't just a full out failure. And this had some things going for it that I did enjoy, which are the two performances by the two lead characters. Who were those actors? The young actors who were the kind of out of control bad boys. They were really fun. I enjoyed them. One of them is mute, which is always, that gives an actor a little extra work to do because they have to develop a whole character by using physicality alone, which he did. He was very, very entertaining.
No. I think the performances in this movie were overall pretty good. I liked everyone's performance. Those two were standouts. I think, considering they didn't have too much of a backstory. We were just told they're out for revenge, essentially, for the murdered father. I think it was.
Yeah.
But essentially, everyone I think did well. Like, Chemban is really good at what he does. He's not going to struggle with that. Lukman, it's nice to see him take a more lead role because I've seen him more in sort of side support roles, but to see him be a lead character is always good. And I think he did pretty well. What he was given, I thought everyone did well for what they were given.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of characters in this movie weren't given enough sort of details to really flesh out the characters. But everyone's performance, I think, was good. I thought the cinematography was good. It was shot well. They had some nice sort of drone shots. They had some nice action sequences. And the music was great as well. So whoever did the music was great. And this is from a debut director. It's from Chemban's brother, Ullas Chemban.
All right.
So, I think he has some background with some short films he's done, but this is his first full feature movie. So for a first attempt, I think it's good. It's funny because this year we've seen a lot of debut actors, debut directors, it feels like. And they've all sort of knocked it out of the park, it feels like sometimes. Because we had that Tavita Thomas movie. That was a debut director, and that was really good.
Really good.
And a few others I feel like as well, or maybe I'm just not remembering properly. But I feel like there's a lot of
I feel like we keep seeing debutante director, and it's like, wow, that was so accomplished and confident. And this had, like you said, had really good tech. Level of tech that made a movie look really good. It didn't look low budget. They definitely were kind of inspired by Quentin Tarantino with the typography and the credits and all the still, the artwork basically. But I feel like I had a lot of scenes and a lot of things being told. This is what is happening, but I didn't feel a huge emotional connection necessarily. I feel like the characters were a little bit too one-dimensional to really care about. So I feel like instead of making you care about characters, they put in shocking moments that were just repellent. Like, the animal violence was off the charts. I barely got through this movie. Really it was ridiculous how much that was in there. And it wasn't even like, they show that you hear something cry off screen and they're showing stuff happening. I did not like that at all. So if you're starting to show a lot of that, you lose me completely. So that I made it through this movie at all is a miracle. Because
I know, me too, to be honest. It was getting pretty hard.
But that's me.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely on the same boat. I definitely don't like to see animal violence at all. It actually makes me feel pretty uncomfortable to see it. Even one scene is too much, and I don't like that, especially when it's done so distastefully. There wasn't even much of a purpose to this, except for maybe the pig. If you want to argue that was the one, I guess, that has some outcome to it. But just killing rats and killing squirrels, and then just the dog scene at the end was absolutely
just so ridiculous, and just such a mean way. Like I thought the pig scene was especially bad because the little girl you did care about, and so when she had her pet pig, it was very cute. She saw her walk like her friend. So to do anything to that pig not only seemed cruel to her, it just seemed cruel in general because it's a baby pig. It's a little bit.
I know.
So I feel like people go to animal violence to get an emotional reaction, they've run out of things to say, and that's just a cheap shot. And I feel it's just no.
Yeah, this movie did that quite a bit. So not just with the animal violence, even because it's funny when you say there wasn't an emotional connection. The character was actually there. Like the character, Lukman's character was probably the character that we wanted to sort of side with. But I feel like they did a great job in one of the flashbacks they had with him was really good. Him with his mother when he's a child. Yes. And they're showing sort of, the sort of backstory between the mother and father and all that stuff that happened. I was like, wow, there's actually something here.
And the little kid was flashback.
And the kid was great. And he acted great as well.
It was shot really well. I love how they shot that, where they had these big long shots of the kid out by himself. And that was beautiful. Yeah.
They had the scene where he's just seeing the shadows. So they did some good stuff from presenting this movie, and they had the character there. But I feel like, man, I almost forgot about that basic flashback because it only comes back later on at the very end. I'm talking like the last 2 minutes. They want to show us, what the outcome of that is. Yeah. So a bit disappointing in that there was definitely a lack of emotional connection with anyone. I wasn't really siding with anyone in this movie, to be honest.
No. Like, I didn't know who to root for, honestly. I mean, when they were having this big 3-way, conflict, and I'm like, now who's the bad guy? Who's the good? I don't know what this is. I mean, and like I think we talked about this earlier, it was just a trigger warning movie. We had animal violence, we had rape, we had molestation, we had child violence. I mean, I just like, you do not need all of this in one movie. And by doing that, you're just alienating your audience. And I feel like that you didn't need it. Just didn't need it. I would rather have seen more time spent on character development than on like, let's do a man molesting a child. Do we really need to see that? I don't want to see that.
No. That was disturbing. They threw in like domestic violence on top of that. It was just violence. The list goes on, which I feel like it's exactly right. I don't know. Like, I feel like those tactics are pretty much like, okay, I don't know how to make you feel like against the character. Let me just kill an animal, or let me just show these people are willing to do anything. Let's just, kill an animal, or let's just, this guy's meant to be evil. He's a pedophile. Let's make him a pedophile. Like,
let's make you really hate him. He's not just bad guy. He molests children. You're like, okay, so he's a really bad guy. We get it now. Okay.
Yeah, we really, because I think what we're reaching for is we really wanted complex characters with depth, and if they can explain the reasons, at least try to do that a little bit, then we sort of start to really appreciate those characters. Because I feel like Lukman's character was the one where they could have been like, okay, fine, he has this boogeyman that's come and cursed him. The Kokkan, I think that's what they called him, the ghost that took over his body and exposed what he was at the end. There's a mystery there, which was good. Like I don't know if I was surprised by it or I just didn't. I was just over the movie at that point.
I didn't care at that point, so I'm like, of course, whatever. Like I just like,
it had lost me
because I think it was too late. Like that should have been established earlier, so it made a difference. But to just have it like a big reveal at the end of something you kind of forgot about already, and then to compile it upon a really awful act of animal violence, that didn't feel good as well. That didn't fit right as well. Don't need all that.
Wasn't good
altogether.
Wasn't really good. Also, so the other thing that I noticed during this movie was so the timeline is a bit scattered, I guess, which is also maybe the Tarantino comparisons, just because scattered timeline, the campy kind of humor mixing with the action, the dancing. It's got a bit of that sort of laugh while you see somebody die kind of thing.
Someone dies.
That's sort of sometimes Tarantino can sort of get away with and does very well. He's made a career off that. He's one of the best
he made a whole genre for himself.
That's why they say when you say Tarantino-esque, it's just tribute to sort of what he's done.
Exactly. It's hard to pull off though.
I feel like this movie really didn't need to do that. Like the storyline was really, really simple in terms of what they were really trying to tell us. They even had the part that really frustrated me a little bit was the scene. They had a few flashbacks, which absolutely led to nothing. And I think that the one that had the biggest, I guess, impact was the one with the female character, where they had her flashback and like sort of her story, and it went nowhere. I was like, why don't you just make me watch 15 minutes of information?
I know why. What was the point? Like, I kept waiting for the thing, and it's like, well, okay. So I guess it's just they know each other. Like, I don't really didn't know what was happening there. Yeah, it was a little confusing. Yeah. Correct. I mean, really the highlights for me were the two brothers who would basically bust into gatherings and cause havoc. I mean, that was basically what they were doing. You know, see, they were kind of a highlight to me because he had the cool clothes on and the cool styling, and he was very campy and fun, and you know that they were having a good time. But nothing else in the movie matched that, and that was also a weird tonal shift in the movie to have.
That's also true.
Their fun campy thing, and then the rest was super grim and gross, and I'm like, oh my god.
It didn't really. At least it didn't really match. It didn't really work for me. Like that didn't match up at all. That's a good point because they were so out there, and you can only do so much of that. Like I don't feel like if they had more screen time, it would have been like this is getting annoying.
Then they're like, okay.
I think at least the director pulled back on that a little bit, and he was like, okay, let's not show this too much. We're using it delicately, which is good. I do think I am pretty high on him as a director. I'm not going to say that just despite the fact I didn't like the story or the writing. I feel like he showed me traits which I enjoyed. Like, he showed characters that were cool. Definitely could have been done. Definitely could have had some better writing and to establish characters more. And I think he focuses more on that and building character as opposed to sort of just trying to stop trying to think of the audience so much and trying to make them triggered in some way or emotionally responding to a scene. Like build it out. Like, you have a whole story, you have a whole movie. To build that emotions, build up to the climax so that we can actually feel for the character. I think he can do it from what I've seen here. But just in this case, it just didn't work, I think.
I mean, I do feel like you said, even though I didn't particularly like the movie, I could see this man has chops. So I thought he will eventually, find more confidence and have a better story, hopefully in the next movie, and won't fall back on these kind of, I feel like, beginner's mistakes, which is using shock value over emotional content, like a better written character or something. So that I can see because he definitely knew what he was doing. He just didn't have the whole story there. I feel like it was a little flimsy. So.
Correct. And credit to him. He did. This is an ambitious approach, I would say, at first, because he's trying to play with timeline. He's trying to do something. Yeah, I guess a big cast, but no real, no one to really just pull the audience in, so it's not like it's going to get anyone to the cinemas to watch this. I think this movie did okay from a box office point of view. I don't think, because the budget was also pretty low. Like there wasn't a high budget at all with, the cast it has and everything like that.
It didn't look low budget. That's another thing. Did not look low budget.
No. Definitely. No. In terms of the way it's shot, it's pretty good. And there's a lot of explosives, which also...
always good.
Fight scenes were enjoyable too. I think the last one definitely went on for way too long. That I felt like I was trapped in that police station for way too long. It was like 30, 40 minutes of just action in that. And I was like, okay, this is not furthering the storyline anymore. We kind of know what's going to happen here. It's going to be bloody and brutal and people are going to die. And then, they have a bit of a twist at the end, which I was like, okay, well, I'm happy Lukman won because he's the one character that was likable.
Exactly. That's true.
It didn't really. It just went on for too long. But it could use some editing for sure. Definitely. But so probably not our favorite. It's probably the first Malayalam movie I think I've seen this year that I've been a bit down on. I think because the year's just been fantastic. This year's just been so good.
Oh, so good.
This one sort of sticks out like a sore thumb for me personally. But, it might have worked for some people. And if you did like this movie, I would love to know what you liked about it. Because, this is just my view, my perspective. Maybe I didn't see something. Maybe I didn't understand it. Maybe this is referencing something that I don't know. Or there's something, in the sort of storyline that's referring to, which I'm not familiar with. I don't know. There could be something like that.
I don't know. Personally, well, I mean, I just as for me, like animal violence is kind of a big no. So when I see them using that, I tend to be down on the movie. And I don't really like them. And so they did so much of it that I was like, I don't know what you're trying to do to me right now. Just did not enjoy that. I mean, so I just wasn't enjoying myself watching this movie. It just felt one cruel act after another. And I just didn't need that. Didn't need it.
You start off on the back foot if you do that kind of stuff. If there's animal violence or pedophilia or anything like that, it's like, okay, you got to make up for that for some pretty good ways. So let me see what you're going to bring. And they didn't in this case.
It just got worse.
I'd rather you just didn't.
just don't do that.
This movie could have been better without that stuff, to be honest. If you just
cut out all those scenes, it'd probably just be better.
Honestly, It probably would be better. I honestly think it might be better without a lot of that. Because I would at least be like, okay, at least you're not resorting to cheap tactics. You're actually trying genuinely to get us to feel for these characters and make us give us a reason why we don't like them.
Exactly. Giving me reasons to turn this movie off. That's all you're doing is like click, turn it off.
Definitely.
All right. But again, looking forward to the next one. Hoping he learns. We'll see.
Definitely. Let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Let me know how wrong we are, and you can do all that stuff. That's all fine. We'd love to have
just honest reviews. This is how we see it. You can clearly disagree with us. It's totally welcome. I'm anxious. I would actually really welcome different points of view on this movie and what you liked or didn't like.
Yeah. Definitely open to have a conversation to see if there's something else that we missed, which is there. But I'm looking forward to see what he does next. And otherwise, thanks again, Kathy, for joining me on this review. It wasn't my favorite movie, but I feel it's important to also talk about the one that we don't like.
Exactly. I mean, I think we should share our thoughts on movies like this. Even like we talked about what we did like, we talked about what we didn't like, and now you guys know where we're at. Now tell us where you're at.
But until next time, catch you next one. Bye.